Okay, in this tutorial, we are going to do a very quick review of how to answer questions where you are asked to give map evidence to support the question that this is a glaciated landscape, in the case of the landscape we're actually looking at on the map here, as well as giving map evidence to identify that you're looking at the coastal landscape. Now, these questions are always worth 4 marks, so you would always be looking to give 4 separate features supported by map evidence, and I'll show you how map evidence can be given in 2 different ways. So let's start with probably one of the most obvious ones to identify, and it could be the corrie. So for example, here we have a small tarn inside a corrie. So if you were to give the grid reference 66, so there's the easting 66, and about 2/10 of the way along, so 662, and then 62, because that's the northing grid line, and it's about 2/10 up. So if you were to write 662, 622 as evidence of a corrie, that would count as map evidence. If you, however, said that there was a tarn called Fwynon Lorber inside a corrie, then that would also count as map evidence because you are naming the feature, or in this case the tarn, which is found inside a corrie, as evidence that that is a corrie. Okay. If you look across this map, you can identify a number of other corries. They are small, roundish lochens. There's another tarn inside a corrie. And the most obvious corries are the ones with small, roundish lochens inside the corrie, which is indicated by the kind of letter U-shaped contours that go round it. Not all corries have to have tarns in them to be corries, so it doesn't always have to be the evidence you give has to have a tarn in it. And if you identify the contour shape, like here, for example, on the map, that's a corrie there, and it's called Cwm Perfed. And if you'd written there is a corrie called Cwm Perfed, then that would be map evidence. You wouldn't need to give the 6-figure grid reference. Okay, so the corrie, this map is covered in corries. It's also got a very obvious U-shaped valley, which we can see here with the wide open flat valley floor, because there's no contours, as well as the very steep valley sides here and here. So you could give a grid reference for anywhere along this corrie, this U-shaped valley, or you could just say there's a U-shaped valley called Nant Francon, and that would be evidence that we have a U-shaped valley. This map has also got a number of other U-shaped valleys at different locations. There is a U-shaped valley also here. However, in this case, it's also got a ribbon lake in it. Now, the best example of a ribbon lake is actually this one here called Llyn Ogwen, which we can see here in grid square. And if you're given a grid square, it would be 6560. Because why do we give the grid square? Because it's obviously covering quite a wide area. Right, so we've given a ribbon lake, a U-shaped valley, a corrie. Let's go with the 2 connected features, the arête and the pyramidal peak. Now we can see over here a pyramidal peak at 629, and if we go to the northings, 61, there we are, and it's about 3/10 up. And we know it's a pyramidal peak because there's a little height, 831, and we can see 3 arêtes coming to this point. So each of these is an arête. So you could give any of these as evidence of an arête. As arêtes are found on the back of corries, this also is an arête here, as well as here, leading to another pyramidal peak here. Now you should be careful with pyramidal peaks. Don't assume the top of every mountain is necessarily a pyramidal peak. Just because it's a summit doesn't mean it is pyramidal in shape, because there are a number of hills on this map, which I can indicate to you, which are actually not pyramidal peaks. So for example, here's a hilltop, 849 meters, but you'll see it's rounded and there are no arêtes leading to it. So that's a summit of a hill, but it's not a pyramidal peak. Okay. So that's us identifying the arête and the pyramidal peak. We can see another long arête here running to a pyramidal peak here. You can give a grid reference for a pyramidal peak, or you can just name it. So here we've got a pyramidal peak called Penir Helgdu, 833 meters. And often another good spot for arêtes is not just a little cliff symbol on either side, and the fact the contours are getting higher on either side, because it is a ridge, but there's often little footpaths that work their way up arêtes. Okay, a few other landscape features. On the side of U-shaped valley, you often get truncated spurs. So here is a cliff symbol on the side of this Nant Francon U-shaped valley, and that would indicate it's a truncated spur. So it's the side of a valley that's been chopped off by the glacier. And we can work our way. Here's another truncated spur on the side of this ribbon lake here. Okay, and if we go over here to this ribbon lake, we can see another truncated spur here, where the hillside has been chopped off. Likewise, on the south side of this loch, there is also a truncated spur. Right, that's the majority of the glaciated landscape features. Also showing you how you can name features as relevant map evidence without having to give six-figure grid references, and also a little bit of revision on how to give six-figure grid references. Now let's have a little look at coastal landscape features. Okay, so we've now moved to a different map. This time we are on a coastal map, and we've got a whole range of features that are quite easy to identify. Now, as with glaciated landscape features, you can either use six-figure grid references to identify them, or you can name them. So let's start with some more obvious ones. We have bays, Swan Lake Bay, Menorbia Bay. They are named. Now, if they weren't named, you could just still give the six-figure grid reference for the center of the bay. Okay. We have a number of headlands as well. Old Castle Head, you could name, or this little headland down here, Greenalla Point, or Trewent Point. Once again, if you don't name them, you could give a six-figure grid reference, like for Trewent Point, which is right here. We would go 02, and it's on the line, so 0, so 02097, and it's about 2/10 of the way up, so 972 would be that headland. So we've got headlands, we've got bays, we've got a beach here, which we could give a six-figure grid reference for to indicate a sandy beach. We also have a pebble beach here, just off the coast, showing this beach. It's called a shingle beach, and we could give a six-figure grid reference. Now we have a range of cliffs. Sometimes they're named, like Westmoor Cliff, and we could just say there is a cliff called Westmoor Cliff or Eastmoor Cliff. Or we could identify the cliff symbol, which lies just behind the wave-cut platform, running up right against the solid black line above it. That's the cliff symbol. Now, you can distinguish the cliff symbol from the wave-cut platform symbol, which always or generally lies next to it, which we can see just here. So you could give a six-figure grid reference for this point, right, which I'm indicating on the screen, and that would be a wave-cut platform that we can see, and it's located at 042 and 98 over here, 1, and that's a wave-cut platform. So other features we can see, we've got a number of stacks. Any small rock like Church Rock is probably going to be a stack, so we could just call, there is a stack called Church Rock, or we could give a six-figure grid reference for that stack. Likewise, along here, we've got another few little C stacks, which we could, they don't have a name, so we'd have to identify them with a six-figure grid reference. There aren't any arches indicated on the map, and if there were arches, it would actually say Natural Arch written on the map, just like Old Castle Head is written here. Likewise, in the area covered by this map, there aren't any caves, and also because caves appear within the landscape, they would be indicated with the words cave, but we don't have any caves. We also don't on the map available have any sand spits, which would be across the mouth of a river if we were to have one, but once again, they aren't indicated on the map. Okay, right, so that indicates the kind of key coastal features that are available and visible on this part of the map. Once again, these are 4-mark questions, so the simple way of getting 4 marks is you identify 4 features, and you either name them or give the six-figure grid reference for the location. I would also recommend you give always a 5th point before moving on to the next question, just in case one of your points was wrong.